I don't want to give away too much information, but you guys had a Beatles shirt. I thought it's because I had a Beetle, and then I tried to give it water, and I was like, oh shit, I don't think he likes that. I thought that's what you were tripping on. I was like, they have a hard shell, he's fine. um, the Beatles, what about them? What the fuck is your question? Favorite Beatle, John, obviously. However, I think that without Paul's light energy and a good childhood background, bringing that into it, it couldn't have had the balance that it would have. John initially wanted a different member in the band, and unfortunately that guy died of an aneurysm, but he was an art school student. Sad too, because he had a fiance, I think her name was Astrid. And that guy brought a lot more depth to the Beatles. He would have, but it just wouldn't have had the balance that would have made it that you guys all love today. I mean, what can I say? I want to save some things for court, but I mean, there's 4 phases to the Beatles, and you see them transition from sort of radio ready 109 puppy love songs to with their bowl cuts and whatnot, to a lot more psychedelic territory, and that probably did have to do with the 60s. That had to do with being part of that. That had to do with drugs. It had to do with being welcome to being part of rock and roll. It had to do with going to India. That you see that drastically changing their music. You see, that had to do with smoking large amounts of hashish. That had to do with a lot of things. I always thought that Norwegian Wood was truly about acid, because this bird had flown. And he's talking about sleeping in the bathtub and stuff, and I was like, oh, Norwegian Wood, like a spiral. Just a thought. I know it sounds like it's about a woman. I don't really think so. Now, don't let it be twisted, because Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is not actually supposedly about LSD. It was about one of John's kids' painting that he had made, where she had diamonds for eyes or something. But you really like this little painting that he made. As much as I am a huge John Lennon fan, it is a bit sad to see how disproportionate his love was between his kids, and how one son got just the world from him and the other didn't, and that's very unfortunate when that happens. Probably pointing to John's very troubled childhood, very, very difficult childhood, a lot of abandonment there and a lot of pain there, which I think contributed to his attachment to Yoko, which was vast, as we all know. However, not without fault, and not without cheating, and not without jealousy bouts. Jealous guy. You hear his work later on, and you hear it. Obviously people credit Yoko with the downfall of the Beatles. I don't really think so. I think that's a scapegoat. I understand that she is an independent artist outside of John. I think when he had met her, she was up on a ladder looking with a magnifying glass. It was like her work of art, or someone's work of art, but reading something. I think that's how I'm not sure, but that's what I heard. As an independent artist, an independent woman, she obviously had a voice, and this had an influence, and bros before hoes. There's always this want to blame the woman for everything. I understand that people were frustrated with her influence and thought she didn't really have a part in the Beatles, including a performance where she let out a scream, like a primal scream, sort of somewhat inappropriately, and people were really frustrated by things like that. However, I don't think that was really the downfall of the Beatles. I think it had much more to do with Brian Epstein, their manager, and also just that the boys were ready to branch apart. You look at how John was there for truly for Revolution I mean, you see it beyond his work as a singer, and more as and by the way, he made other art, and I have gone to see some of the shows of his sketches. I even saw a sketch of him eating out Yoko. I was like, what the fuck? And but cute things too, like little animals and stuff. It was cool. He's got a very doodly way of drawing, and I mean, I can say tons about the Beatles and John and everything, so I don't really know what you want from me, but it's the irony, of course, being that the breakup album was Let It Be, right? Um, but such is the poetry of life, I suppose. Ask a question. I probably have an answer, is my point.